And because you and I have not had a chance to collaborate and talk about this, actually, you and I, on the couple of times that we've talked, we haven't actually talked about the finale of WandaVision. Now, I don't want us to go into a full review of the WandaVision finale or anything like that.
Oh, no.
Because that would be forever. I only want to take a couple of minutes here. But one of the interesting things that came out of WandaVision is, of course, a lot of theories. But we knew this was going to happen. I said this every week, Rob. Every week, we're going to find out that a bunch of theories are right and a bunch of theories are wrong. And that's been true all along. But there are some people who found out that their theories were incorrect. Like, hey, you know what? I thought they were going to end with this major Shakespearean tragedy.
Yeah.
And I didn't want them to have the stereotypical cookie cutter happy ending. And they didn't give me the one I wanted, but they didn't give me the one I feared. They were kind of in the middle. You know, kids are gone, Vision dies, all that kind of stuff. But Wanda came to a place of acceptance, which is the final stage of the grieving process, is acceptance. And so she sort of came. So it's kind of somewhere in the middle, and I appreciated it for what it was. But, you know, there are a lot of people who were very upset that X-Men didn't show up. There were a lot of people who were very upset that Pietro wasn't Pietro all along, which I told you, but he wasn't actually Quicksilver. A lot of people, and it's the thing, Rob, that we always try to warn against is that, you know, we get our theories blown apart. And it's like, okay, but put that aside. Was it still good? Because I had several of my theories blown apart. And it's like, oh, but they did something that was still really good anyway. And we appreciate it. It brings up the question, Rob, of it's fun to engage. Actually, it's amazing to engage in theories and speculation and all that kind of stuff, as long as we know to leave all those theories and speculations at the door once we come into the living room to watch the show. We got to leave those expectations behind so we can just watch the show and judge it on its own merits. But have we gotten to a point as a fandom where people just get too attached? Because it's not just WandaVision. We've seen it happen in other things. People get too attached to what their own theories are, to what their own ideas are of what's going to happen, to their own speculations, that they condemn themselves that if the movie or show doesn't do what they were expecting to have happen, they automatically discount the show. And I think we've seen some backlash. Anyway, Rob, what are your thoughts on that overall? And how bad do you think we saw it here with the WandaVision finale?
Well, I was talking about this on my own show yesterday, over the weekend. And I was like, here's the thing. We are given an expectation because the Marvel Universe itself has set that up, with their post-credit sequences, with their Easter eggs and the teasing and all of that. And I think what's really interesting is we as viewers were imposing a lot of expectations onto WandaVision that were not based on the show that was being shown to us.
Right.
That and I think that, all of these speculations, I think it's kind of a double-edged sword, because on one hand, we do impose all these things. I think the biggest takeaway I get, John, from this is that we were talking about initially how we love the idea that each week that went by, this was not a bingeable show, that we were waiting a week to see every episode. And I was totally down with that. I was like, look at how much speculation and how much fun everybody's having. But ultimately, it led us down a path where many people were let down by the 9th episode. Up until the 9th episode, I too was like, man, I was all in. And I kept wondering, I've been thinking about this. I was kind of under the weather on Saturday, so I thought about this a lot. I'm like, I wonder if I had watched WandaVision and binged the whole thing with no expectations and no theories and just watched it all unfold, would I have felt the same way? Because I wouldn't have spent every week answering millions of questions and speculating and thinking and going back into the Marvel lore and reading about Nightmare or Chthon or Mephisto or Speed and Wiccan and going into all the comic book history and all that. If I just sat down and watched the damn show, would I have thought, wow, this is a lot of fun. This is really great. But now we've had so much time to pull it apart. I feel maybe we shouldn't be pulling things apart like that. We should wait until they're over, because we did set ourselves up. And then we had to listen to people. There's going to be a Skywalker cameo. I mean, and that was actors like Paul Bettany. He really was. I saw him. He was making a joke about acting with somebody he's wanted to act with for a very long time, being himself, And I'm like, we did this. We as fans did this. The show didn't. We did.
Yeah. I
And
agree.
is that fair?
And here's the thing too. I believe that we rob ourselves of something here because look, one of the great things about this, I always mispronounce Chthon's name, but whether it's Chthon or Nightmare or Mephisto or any of that kind of stuff, these are characters that a ton of people had never even heard of.
Right.
And now
right.
they know about these characters. They went
Yep.
and researched them. They never even heard of Wiccan and Speed. But then they went and researched them and found them out. Now they know all about Wiccan and Speed. They never knew anything about the history of House of M or anything like that. And
Yep.
guess what? They went and found we have had so much fun over 2 months, the course of 2 months.
Yep.
Of speculating, discussing, and whatever. The problem for me, Rob, I think personally, the problem isn't the fact that we form these big speculations, whatever. The problem comes with we've got to learn to keep those speculations and everything in their place. It's great to have them and theorize. And by the way, a lot of theories came true, like theories I didn't think was going to happen. A lot of people theorized that Monica was going to get her powers in this show. I didn't think that was going to happen. I thought they were going to wait for that till Captain Marvel 2. But they gave her she became Spectrum or Photon or Captain Marvel, whatever name you want she goes by. You know, they gave her a lot of names in the comics. She's got like 5 different names. Anyway, they gave her powers there, and I didn't think they would. There was another number of other big theories that people had that did come true at the same time. But it's just this, I feel like we rob ourselves of that joy when we fail to compartmentalize all that and saying, okay, that's all the fun we had. Now let's put it aside and watch the show for what it is and appreciate it for what it is. Because, Rob, I don't want people to stop theorizing. Right. I don't want us as fans to stop wanting to dig in to the lore and dig into the history and research theories. I don't want that to stop. I want us to continue doing that, but just realizing, okay, now if they don't do what we thought they were going to do, is it okay? And yes, it is okay, because I thought overall the show was fantastic. It didn't have the ending I was exactly looking for, but it was still a really good ending. I love the second post-credit scene. I just thought they did a lot right, and I just think we rob ourselves, because you're right. I love the way you put that. We did the setting up. Yeah. We did the setting up. And so, I don't know. I don't want to lose the theorizing. And I don't want to lose, but I do want us to be responsible with our theorizing, going, okay, now that we've had our fun theorizing, the episode's coming on, let's take all of our theories and put them aside, and we'll go back and revisit them later. But I don't know. It's an interesting evolution the fandom is going into now, Rob.
I want to ask you, do you think that Falcon and Winter Soldier is going to be, in a different way, the same kind of, is it going to invite the same kind of speculation that WandaVision did, or is it going to be more of a straightforward action adventure, Jack Ryan-y kind of globe-trotting adventure thing?
I'll tell you what, I initially really thought that Falcon and Winter Soldier was going to be more of a down-the-line action series.
Yeah.
More of a MacGyver sort of thing, or an A-Team, if you will. Straight down the line. But WandaVision ended up being so different than what I thought it was going to be. Like, by the time we got to episode 4 of WandaVision, I'm like, everything I thought about this show, like going into it at first, was completely, I thought it was going to be this cute little gimmick show where they're doing their thing in the different sitcom eras. And it turned out to be so much more than that. I now really I think there'll probably, as much speculation and intrigue and mystery as there was to WandaVision, maybe not. But I think what Kevin Feige is showing us is that the era of the stereotypical formula comic book entity is gone. We are going to hyphenate everything. Everything's going to be hyphenated now. It's no longer a comic book movie. It's a comic book thriller. It's no longer a comic book movie. It's a comic book hyphen horror. It's no longer a comic book thing. It's a this. So I have a feeling after watching WandaVision that there's going to be more mystery to Falcon and Winter Soldier than I thought there was going to be. I do. What about you? Where are you on that right now?
Yeah, I think there's probably a lot more to that too. If they introduce U.S. Agent as a new Captain America, and there's more of a conspiracy vibe happening, and maybe they'll pick up threads that are part of Black Widow, since Black Widow's a prequel. We might see some of that. I think, like you said, there's going to be more going on in these shows. Like the Loki show looks bananas too.
Oh, I can't wait.
And I think with the Time Variance Authority, and if there's a female Loki, I guess so much craziness going on. And I think they're going to have to subvert expectations, because why just do your standard Jack Ryan conspiracy? But I mean, I still lean to it being more like Winter Soldier than, say, WandaVision. That it's going to have more of a straightforward action narrative. But again, that's my expectation, and I could be wrong.
Right. But I think you're onto something there, because with Falcon and Winter, I do not believe Falcon and Winter Soldier is going to be like WandaVision, in the sense that we waited till episode 9 to have our first real, and it was a terrific, but our first real action sequence. That's
Right.
not going to be, we're going to get a much heavier doses of action stuff.
Yes.
I'm not saying every episode is going to have some big, set piece action sequence, but there's going to be a lot more of it, I think, in this, but it's going to be very interesting. And dude, we're only a couple of weeks away.
Well, it's a week from we get the Making of Wanda show,
Yep.
and then we jump into. But what I was thinking, how the Marvel universe has been, they always do different versions. Like Winter Soldier was a conspiracy theory thing. I think that, I mean, it's obvious, but we're gonna finally get our first buddy cop movie. Think Lethal Weapon, or it's not buddy cop villain, 48 Hours. Running Scared. I think that Midnight Run, that team up of disparate, mismatched dudes coming together, and they have to work their differences out and solve a problem. And I got to tell you, from that perspective, I've missed those kinds of movies, and I hope that this gives me that sort of that buddy cop vibe, the Riggs and Murtaugh vibe that I used to love in the 80s, and I hope they bring us that.
All right. Questions, guys. What do you think about that? Do you think we should just stop theorizing? Do you think we need to learn how to compartmentalize our theories? I mean, I don't know. What do you guys think about all that? Jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Okay, guys,